All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Aired Out. JD Green here, broadcasting live, as always, right on North Main Street in the granite capital of the world, Barrie, Vermont. So good to have you with us. 62 degrees, cloudy right now. I see a pair of autumn snowstorm systems that are sweeping across the western and central plains of the United States over this coming week, bringing heavy snow in the mountains and some dangerous and severe weather, and that has the attention, I'm sure, of my guest who's with me right now, Dan Egan. What's going on, my man?
JD, so good to see you, brother. What's happening?
When we talk about forecasts like this, these central plains are going to be getting nailed this week. What does that do to you? Does that make you do you sweat? What happens to you?
Well, it's fall, right?
Yes.
So anytime after Labor Day, it's like things are different, And, this is the time where the Eagan family would go up into the attic, go through, bring the boots down, the clothing, the ski poles, and it would be, 8 kids trying stuff on, right?
Oh, my God.
And if it fit, it was yours. So you get a new pair of boots only because your feet grew into your brother's pair. And so this time of year, I'm always getting ready. So you never know what's going to happen.
I see the look in your eyes. You left the S word, but what happens to you during the summer months in Vermont? Short time of the year, but do you get depressed? Do you get sad? What happens? What happens to Dan Egan when it's 80 degrees and sunny out?
I take a deep breath. And I just sit back and relax because I know as soon as this, I tell everybody, everybody's, when are you going to ski? I go, you don't understand. When I start skiing, I stop everything else. I won't call you back. I'm like, nothing happens. So I have to time that so I know that when I'm in, I'm 100% in. I'm not looking back.
You're purging. You're purging.
I'm just I'm returning phone calls this time of year. Yes. I'm seeing friends. I'm relaxing because, look, it's going to happen. They've got over 17 inches of snow in Big Sky just this week with the storm that's rolling through. That's what's heading our way.
Oh, my God.
And so, people are freaking out.
Dude, you're probably the biggest moving target I think I have, one of the top 5 that I've ever known. Where the hell are you? Are you in New Hampshire? Are you in Vermont? Are you skiing at Sugar Bush? Where's Dan Egan?
Well, Dan Egan in this time of year is parked in beautiful Waterville Valley, New Hampshire.
All right, there we go.
Sailing my Lightning on Squam Lake.
Beautiful.
And this year, rebuilding my kitchen. I come home with the spring with big ideas.
Yes.
Like tear the kitchen apart, pull the sink, the stove.
You have to keep busy to keep yourself distracted.
Exactly, completely. So I've been camping for 4 months now.
That's hysterical. But then what? What's going to happen? How old are you now?
Oh my gosh,
Can I ask that question?
You can, but I have to start counting. I'm like, okay, I was born. So I'm in that 50 range. 55. I think I'm 56.
All right.
Is it an odd or even year?
I don't know.
It's an odd year, so I think I'm an odd number.
All right.
I'm odd anyway.
Yes, you are. Yes. So you're on the top side of the 50s.
That's right.
Are you going to slowing down? What do you do? Are you still skiing? That's a dumb question, I know, but what do you do?
Well, slowing down, I don't think is an option. I've contemplated that. I don't understand this one thing. Just do one. I do many things, and I go many places.
Right.
And I'll be in Europe, I think a total of 8 weeks this year, running trips and guiding over there in Switzerland and France. Camped out and parked in Big Sky, Montana. So great.
Montana's getting nailed right now, by the way.
They're getting hammered.
Right now.
Just a ton of snow, bro.
Yes.
It's going to be wicked piss out there.
Yeah, it is.
And the snow is coming in. So, just fired up about that. And then, I come in and out of the East, and I show the Warren Miller ski films, and, just do whatever I can. I just drove the other couple weeks back from Stowe to Denver.
Yeah.
I was bored. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And I'm going to London Monday.
Unbelievable. When I say moving target, folks, I'm serious. If Dan Egan says he's got some time, we're getting him on the show. and we've tried to. I saw you a couple of years ago, but we've been trying to connect since 2018 when I started this podcast. And dude, when I got the text from you that you were doing a book signing in I think Stowe, right?
Stowe, yeah.
I was stoked to hear that because the last time I saw you, we were talking about this book.
Right, exactly.
and all of the time that was being invested in it and pulling you from other areas in your life where, I mean, this is a big job. This is a big project, dude. Look at how thick, how many pages?
400 pages, JD.
400 pages.
I had something to say. You know what I mean?
I know you did.
I had something to say. Well, never ask me my opinion. The one thing about my opinion is it's different from yours. That's really all invested in.
You need to get a T-shirt that says that. Jesus. My man, what is in here? It says Dan Egan's story of worldwide adventure and the evolution of extreme skiing, but is this your whole life? Is this it?
Well, like my co-author Eric Wilbur always says, every time I say, we forgot this, we forgot that, he'll say 400 pages, Dan.
Yeah.
400 pages.
Yeah.
But no, this is, I've always wanted to tell the Eagan brothers story.
Yes.
From the streets of Boston to the mountains around the world, all the way. My grandfather lived on the highest hill in the city. And my mom in the 40s and 50s skied down the medium strip of the parkway in West Roxbury.
Oh, my God.
On a pair of wooden skis and one pair of boots that she shared with all her brothers.
Wow.
And so, from that, we begin the story. But 30 years ago, I was lost in a mountain storm in Russia.
Yeah.
Over 15 people died.
Yeah.
And a Russian rescued me at 17,000 feet and saved my life. I was lost for 38 hours.
Was that when you were in a cave?
Yeah, snow cave. Yeah, that I dug.
30 hours?
38 hours. And that story had never been told. So that's the 30 years.
Mount Elbrus?
Mount Elbrus. Good memory, my man. That's it. Yeah.
Jeez,
So
man.
that was a pretty traumatic experience in my life. And
no food.
No food or water.
Water is the key.
Yeah.
So how did you survive?
I'm a stubborn Irish kid,
No, man.
I
but
just
still.
strong-willed. It was pretty amazing for me. I met my guardian angels. The Russian.
Yes, you did.
The Russian who found me in my snow cave. I had left my ice pick outside my snow cave. And that's what he saw. So he knew somebody was around and near. And when he found me, I believe I was dead. And he slapped me around, woke me up. And, the next day, him and I rescued 14 people. We did 3 crevasse rescues and got ourselves from 17,000 feet all the way to the valley floor. So, a lot of divine intervention there. And a lot of adventure.
Your mom is saying, Dan, what the hell are you doing up on a 19,000 or just under 19,000? I think it's 18.5.
That's right.
Summit. What are you doing up there, buddy?
Yeah, my mom's saying, get home for dinner, dude.
Yes.
Like, get home for dinner.
But so how did you get up there? Did you mountaineer up and ski down?
We climbed up. John and I were sponsored by a company, Degree 7.
Yes.
And Degree 7 was founded by Patrick Valençant, the godfather of extreme skiing from Chamonix, France.
Out in California, I think, wasn't it?
Well, it was distributed in California, but the roots of Degree 7 are Chamonix.
All right.
And John had skied with Patrick in Chamonix, and Patrick had passed away, and this trip was to celebrate his life. So they brought the extremists from Chamonix and the American extremists together for supposed to be a special on ESPN.
Yeah.
And things went wrong pretty quick there. And
How?
Storm blew in. Mount Elbrus kills more people than Everest.
Yes,
which is a phenomenal stat.
I read that in your book, and
Yeah.
I was stunned by that.
Yeah, Everest gets all the press.
Of course it does, because it's the biggest and the
It's
highest
biggest
in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those things that happen to you, they shape your life. They shape the way I saw the world. I say that trauma does. I lost my ability to choose a lot of things because the trauma was choosing for a lot of years after that.
Yeah, I bet.
And there's some things in this book I haven't spoken about since that day.
Yeah,
So
wow.
and just kind of needed to write it out.
Who captured all of that? Was it Eric?
Yeah, Eric had come to me a few years back, and he had written over the years a lot about John and I for the Boston Globe, Boston.com, and he said, hey, what do you think about a book? And I had already started White Haze at the time, and I said, oh, I've got it. I'm doing it. And a few years later, I called him back and said, I need help.
Yeah.
And what a help he was. One, he's a phenomenal writer.
Sure.
But two, we were able to structure it. And we got into a work pattern of he would record the stories.
Yeah.
He'd do a first draft, send them over to me. I would dive into those stories and build them out, add emotion, do that sort of thing, ship them back. And we would ship chapters forward and backwards.
Add the color.
Yeah. And then our editor, Matt Pepin, who from the Boston Globe, who had edited us, over the years a lot of times, he did the initial edit of the entire book.
It's absolutely amazing. And when you mailed this to me, and thank you ever so much, by the way, for autographing it and mailing it and everything. When I saw the thickness of this, my first reaction was, holy shit. My second reaction immediately after that was, no surprise.
Yeah.
No surprise. Yeah. I mean, there's so much to be told about you and the Eagan brothers are so famous, so such a staple in our little Green Mountain state. Do you ever get over to Sugarbush and ski?
Yeah, it's hard with schedules. John and I unfortunately haven't skied that much together, I would say, in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Last year, we did film together for Warren Miller's Future Retro film.
Yeah.
And that was fun. They dusted off the old dogs. It was John, myself, Scott Schmidt, Tommy Day, at Big Sky, Ski and Lone Peak.
Where do we see that?
Epic.
Where do we see that?
You
How
can
do we
see
get that?
Future Retro online.
We can.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And that, you've got those four characters together. It's really something. That Big Sky segment was great. And then what they did is they brought in some young bucks to ski with us. And I skied a line in Future Retro that I hadn't skied in 25 years. And last time I skied the Little Couloir, I was on straight skis. And we would have to hike. At that time, there was no tram to the top of Lone Peak. You hiked up. And I was standing on top with Parkin, who's won the Kings and Queens of Corbett's twice now. And I said, dude, do the math. I'm 3 times your age.
Yeah.
I go first.
Oh, God. Yeah.
You know what
Oh, God.
Yeah. Because I knew if I watched him straight line it,
Yeah.
it would be lights out for me. I was nervous, so yeah.
That was one of my questions for you today is, does Dan Egan ever get nervous?
There's a lot that changes with age, of course.
If you want to babysit my 6-year-old little girl for a weekend, I guarantee you that you're going to be nervous.
Exactly.
But do you ever get nervous with this when you're snapping in?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I always say that fear is what kept us alive. For me, fear is a trigger to do something perfect.
Are you addicted to fear? Well,
with my skis on. I'm not a daredevil, really. I don't base jump. I don't skydive, but put my skis on, I'm game for doing things. My jumping gene has left me,
right.
But back in the day, jumping 12 stories was not an exaggeration of what we did off the cliffs in Chamonix and
of course
Squaw Valley and around the world.
At what points do you say in your mind, I'm hesitating here. I'm not sure. Is this there's a difference between being extreme and doing something that's dangerous, and this may really take my life?
Well, one of the things about John and I is we ski a lot alike, and so having that brother connection, feeding off each other's energy. If I didn't see the line and he did, once he did it, it unlocked it for me.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. If he didn't feel it and I was like, no, I've got this, we're going to do, and then that would unlock it for him. He might not do the exact same thing, but it showed him, okay, so maybe he would bring it in from a different way. So having that sort of imagery, I think, got us through some of that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the cliff jumps and the steep chutes that we walked away from were the ones that kept us in the game. Saying no to that. So I think it's an interesting thing to trust yourself. What I always say about fear is rational. Your reaction to it needs to be equally rational. If you have rational fear and an irrational response, you get in trouble. So you can't use fear to trigger your mistakes. You have to use fear to trigger your skill. And that's where people mess up. You know, it might seem irrational to some to jump out of the tram at Cannon Mountain.
Or out of a helicopter,
Exactly.
or out of a hot air balloon.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, who the hell does that?
So you know, when you have, you know, a rational response to that, and when you see what the kids are doing now, like, yeah, they've taken it to a whole new level.
You guys have a different kind of language that you speak when you're dropped off at the top. You're looking down, and you guys start speaking some language that nobody understands, and about where you're going to go and how it's going to play out and stuff. What is that language? What do you guys? What are these words that you say that only you guys have an understanding of what you're talking about?
Well, I think that John, he calls it his spidey sense. You know, and he'll and in the book, you know, he talks about tracing that back to the streets of Boston and surviving, you know, the 70s back there, where it was really a different time in the city.
Yeah.
I always say about John and I, we had a really rare ability.
Yes.
And that was we could throw a snowball off a cliff, and our feet would land within 12 inches of that snowball.
Unreal.
And the ability to do that eye, hand, eye, foot, to know the speed
Yes.
off the jump,
Wind,
and all that, the snow conditions you're landing in, and to be able to make sure that the cameraman could capture that
yes,
is key. So they, you know, to some extent, knowing what a good shot was, what a framing was, where the sun is,
yeah,
passing through the lens, all that made a difference. So that was really fun to be able to do, you know,
Sure.
and do those sort of things.
And when it's go time, it's go time. We don't sit around and talk about it for another 10 minutes.
Oh, let's go.
It's go right
Let's
now.
go. Yeah, my the cameraman always knew I was ready when I did that, because that would relax me. My neck would crack. The most relaxing thing you can do is roll your neck. And once I would ring the bell, the cameraman would push go. There it is, ring the bell. And they would just wait for that, because if I did this, I was going in.
You better be rolling.
Yeah, I'm dropping. Film in the camera too, JD.
Yes.
Yeah, make sure it's loaded.
Jeez. God. You ever dropped out without having any film in the camera?
It's like not turning the audio on.
So what, you know, the sibling rivalry,
Right.
one of the chapters in your book about you and your brother John, and a whole lot of other stuff in there. But do you guys ever, you know, are you standing up at the top? Do you guys ever fight? Hey, no, you go down through that thing and then hang a left. No, hang a right. No, go straight. Do you guys ever fight about that stuff at the last minute?
Well, not so much about the line choice. We probably
You got that mapped out ahead of time.
Yeah, ahead of time, or where we're going to go. Our differences showed up, I think, in our personalities.
Yes.
And you know, whether how we arrived to the shoot, or when we arrived to the
Right.
shoot, and you know, we're 6 years apart, which
Yes.
is a big deal. And you know, we grew up in different times,
Yes, you did.
and we were different. We are different people.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, if I may read,
Nice. There you go.
the contrast between the Eagans was in constant flux. The 6-year age span and differences in their childhood experiences were signs of demarcation. John had run with a rough and tough crowd, while Dan had found his place in the varsity flock. Their fitness routines were different as well. Dan was a runner and soccer player, known for running players who were defending him into the ground. John, who had always relied on skiing himself into shape, was lean, strong, and known for his cat-like balance and energy. But he also had asthma and wasn't necessarily an endurance guy. Their life experiences were different. Their personalities were different. Their combination of similarities as well as differences made for amazing feats on camera. But behind the scenes, Irish tempers mixed with pride and ego often made sparks fly. You guys ever trade swings? You ever get some fists flying?
You know, not actually with John. No. You know, there's 5 other brothers, so of course, as kids, we would tumble and rumble, but our differences really were, spoken.
Yeah.
And being Irish, is this a private fight or can anybody get involved?
Yeah.
And
Right.
I describe my, I wake up swinging sometimes,
Yeah.
JD. I don't
Yeah.
even know at what, and for no reason,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's sort of my personality. John's a very calculated guy, and he's probably a little bit more tactical in strategy.
Yeah.
But the two of us together, I think created. We couldn't have done it without each other.
Now, there was some stress that you both experienced on Elbrus with a communication barrier.
Yep.
There were just one issue after another that both of you were tested as brothers.
Correct.
Tell me about it. Mount Elbrus in Russia, right?
In Russia, down
just
in
under
Georgia.
18 or 19,000 feet.
Yeah, it has 2 summits.
Okay.
One's 18.5, 118, and 18,000 feet, and one's 18.5, with a saddle in the middle. And that my vision for marketing the Eagan brothers and selling the story and selling the videos, was sort of like that. That's what drove me. I think John was probably driven by other things. One, he just loved it. He started skiing for Warren Miller in 1978. I mean,
Wow.
he has a really long career in history. He had a career before I came along, So I think that was a difference. And in Elbrus, what I say in the book is my 26-year-old self was always going to go. Nothing was going to stop me. My brothers, saying, Dan, the storm's big. I'm not going. I was going to go. My 26-year-old self, ignored the turnaround time at 2 p.m. I was going to climb and summit one of the 7 summits of the world, and nothing was going to turn me around. And when I got to the top of that peak with another climber from Spain, and that storm had surrounded us, I quickly realized that we were on our own up here.
And John was right.
John was right. Yeah. And
I mean, let's look into the camera and say John was right.
yeah, John made a great choice that day. And I also think that, because John and I, the way we rely on each other, I do think if he had been with us, we would have made different choices up there and maybe not made it.
Yeah, right.
We definitely would have branched off on our own quicker in the storm, thinking we may have, we knew. Because every time I went to do that, I got pulled back, and I didn't have anybody encouraging me to go.
Sure.
Where I think John and I probably would have made other choices and left the Russians earlier.
And I'm guessing he was part of the crew looking for you.
Well, he was part of the crew. Tom Day and John rescued quite a few people during the storm and got them down to the village. He has a whole nother tale to tell about how they did that. They were sitting at the base waiting for the storm to clear to come up and look for us. The word that I was lost didn't even get to him to at least 24 hours into the storm, that nobody knew where we were, because the Russians had told them we were in the refuge when we weren't. And it was a French climber from our expedition that actually not only did he summit in the storm, but he made it down to the valley and told John, no, nobody knows where those guys are.
How'd they get you off the mountain?
I walked off. But Claudio Abate, an Italian from our expedition who died, he was alone in a snow cave as well, same as me. They found him after the storm with his hand sticking out of the snow, similar to my ice picks, outside my cave. His hand was, and we were battling the same things. We were battling the wind and the storm and 100-mile-an-hour. It snowed 5 feet that night. And, for me,
oh my God.
in that, once it was obvious that, we were going to spend a night out there, it did. The group I was with broke down. It was every man for themselves.
Really?
And I was digging a cave for the 2 other climbers on my expedition, but they left me. And in the morning, when we came across them, one of them said to me, I'm surprised to see you alive. You didn't dig a very good cave. Wow. And, that's this. And there was, some of the Russians had water and they weren't sharing. So it really was every man for himself up there. And, for me, it was just, I remember when I realized that I was going to spend the night alone in the cave, I was just like, just settle into this thing. And started to do whatever, before I passed out, whatever I could do to stay warm.
So obviously you envisioned the end of your life, and you've had several opportunities to
think about
to stay alive,
Yeah.
and to also reflect on that. But how do you envision the end of your life now, today?
Well, I
In in dying on a mountain, in a sailboat.
all of the above. I tell my loved ones that when I go to Europe, I say, look, I'm going to work. If something happens, don't say I died doing what I love. I love you more. And I put that into perspective for myself and
Wow.
for them. Because for me, skiing is my job. I'm going to work when I go to Europe and when I go to Big Sky. And I'm guiding or Alaska, and I'm guiding in avalanche territory. My job, the reason why people are paying me is to take them out and bring them home.
Right.
But, it doesn't always go as planned. But I envision, living to a ripe old age. I think I've danced through a lot of close calls. I didn't get here there's got to be reason why I'm still kicking.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my mission statements in life is to help others do what I've already done. So service.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what an answer. Let's talk about some of these mountains out in Europe and over there. To the east and otherwise, Everest, Kilimanjaro, the Himalayas, the Alps, Elbrus, Pyrenees.
Yep.
Been on all these. Turkey.
Yeah, I haven't skied in the Himalayas yet.
Yes.
But one of the cool things about the book is the worldwide map.
Yes.
In the back of all the different places I've skied and sailed. And it's got a complete index of John and I, where we skied and when we skied it.
That's amazing.
And when you look at that, and of course we couldn't put them all in there,
Yeah.
So,
hang on, Vermont is in there, right?
Vermont.
Oh.
We did. We dropped it. We dropped the pin on Vermont.
Making sure.
But the one thing about our career was we followed the geopolitical landscape of the time.
Yeah.
So I had told Warren Miller I wanted to go all around the world wherever CNN was. So that's what drove our choices, was like, where's turmoil?
Yes.
We go there.
Right.
So we skied with the Kurds. We went to Yugoslavia before the war started. And we kind of just pointed it in those directions.
Big Sky, Montana, is the picture of you right inside the first couple of pages in. Steeper and Deeper. I was trying to remember that.
Yeah.
One of Warren Miller's films.
In Turkey, in Cappadocia.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of you in that taken from the movie. For folks that are watching, listening, who may not be familiar with Warren Miller and his films and your connection with him, do tell.
Well, Warren Miller is the most prolific American filmmaker of all time, bar none, in all genres. Nobody's made more movies than Warren Miller. We
lost him not too many years ago.
Warren passed, yep, and the movie we did about Warren is called Ski Bum.
Yes, I think I saw
which is
one.
an amazing film, and that's the last time Warren sat for an interview in his home in Orcas Island up in the San Juans, off the coast of Seattle. And, Warren is the Pied Piper of action sports. He's we think these days, of course, with Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, it's hard to imagine, but in the 50s, Warren's making a movie on 16 mil film,
Right.
cutting it himself and touring 100 locations around the country, driving, sitting in auditoriums in high schools and churches and wherever anybody will listen, and telling it and narrating live in front of the audience his films. And when he was done on tour, he would pack up his camera and head out into the mountains and do it all over again. He became the voice of winter. He packaged up skiing and the idea that, you'll be 1 year old. If you don't do it this year, you'll be 1 year older. When you do, get out there and do it. And he packaged it in a way that made it look obtainable. He had a really interesting way of poking fun at the normal and bringing to life the excitement. Warren could tell a story in 3 or 4 sentences that would tie you in. In my movie, Extreme Dream was the first time Warren ever skied in somebody else's film. And I was left with the task of having to narrate Warren Miller. I mean, what do you say when Warren's in front of your camera? So I went and researched all of his narrations. And this is what I said when Warren appeared in my film. 3,000 years ago, nothing roamed on these mountains except for animals as big as the machines that brought us up here today.
Ooh.
And now that's how Warren worked, right? He dropped in stats and facts. He pulled you forward. He pushed you back. And all the while, you're sitting in this auditorium watching some of the most amazing ski footage of your life.
Right.
And that told the story. And then, he would just poke fun at it. He'd be like, and at the end of your week vacation, you realize that you paid $800 a turn for this week of skiing in Aspen, and like things like that. Yeah, amazing.
Wow. A couple of years ago, was a real special day for you and your brother in Stowe, Vermont. What happened?
Well, that was a great event. We were inducted into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. And that was, for me, to share the stage with my brother in that honor was really, really quite amazing. And to do it here in Vermont.
Yeah.
John left Milton, Massachusetts in 1976 and moved to Sugarbush and the Mad River Valley and has never left.
Never will.
Never, maybe not. And, just that one move changed the entire direction of our entire family. When you look at the family now, where all the kids live, most of them are in the mountains. And that was inspired by John's move and his change in lifestyle. And so that's generational. His kids, are skiers and doing great. And our nieces and nephews are skiers and ride all over the place. So, skiing's generational. It gets passed on. And if you didn't learn it from your parents, but you have the chance to teach your kids, it's really amazing.
Do you have kids?
I don't have two kids. I call my stepkids.
What about John?
John's got 2 boys.
Are they skiers?
Yeah, little Johnny's crushing it out in Bozeman. I ski with him all the time.
How old?
Johnny's in his early 20s.
Yeah.
And Will is serving the country. He's a Marine.
Do you believe that it's in the Eagan DNA? Kind of has to be, maybe.
Well, I think when you look at the nieces and nephews and the cousins, pushing the limits, seeking the edge is in our DNA.
That's a big umbrella.
That's
huge. What about when did the whole? We talk about the evolution of extreme skiing. When did the whole notion of who was it that said, "Hey, I got a great idea. Let's get you hooligans in a helicopter, and we'll go up on a helicopter, and you can jump out of the helicopter." Whose idea was that?
Well, first we had to get the budget.
Well, this is true. Gas money.
Yes, we talk about that in the book. But, I think, look, the thing about skiing is leaving tracks where people haven't left them.
Ever.
Ever. And that has driven a lot of passion in a lot of people to go places and do things. Because when you're driving through the valley, looking up at the peaks, I don't know about you, but I'm daydreaming like, oh, I could leave tracks there or here or jump this, or there's a way through that.
Yeah.
And what Warren always said was complement the scenery. Make tracks that leave it prettier than when you found it. And, you know, when I was a kid and John was skiing in movies, he would send me postcards. And on the back of the postcard, he would just write, "Dude, you won't believe where we're skiing. John." That was it.
Where's John today?
He probably sitting up in Moortown, Vermont, enjoying this beautiful fall weather.
Does he run to Europe with you?
I'm hoping he comes more often. That's
Okay.
for sure. Yeah,
All right.
he's always invited. And
Is he staying in shape?
Oh yeah, John's fit, and John wakes up in shape. You know, that's just the way he's been his whole
Yeah.
life. I've always had to work at it, but he's a lean guy. Yeah.
What's the biggest? While we're talking about helicopters and these extreme skiing adventures, what's the biggest drop that you've done? Do you know?
I never went over 100 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of free fall.
A free fall. So, and really for me, you know, in the 80s, there was a few skiers in the films that were trying to break the 100-foot barrier, and they did. And of course, Jamie Pierre jumped over 200 feet twice in his lifetime. He's gone now, but as you know, it happens. But you know, this idea, you know, bigger is not always better. We always tried to do things that we could ski away from. You know, we wanted something to be pretty and beautiful and
Yes.
powerful. So the cliffs we dropped generally had an exit.
Okay, so that you could ski away from. There was a video that you showed me a couple of years ago, you and John together, and I can't remember who was the culprit, but somebody, one of you or your brother, kicked off the side of a mountain, and she started coming,
Yeah.
and she almost caught both of you, I think.
Well, the cornice break.
Is that what it was?
The cornice break. That's the most watched Warren Miller shot of all time. And that's Grand Targhee, Wyoming.
Where can we see that? Where can I post up the link on that?
Just Google Eagan Brothers Cornice.
COR.
Yep. Or if you go to my YouTube channel, it's there. And the cornice break was featured in Extreme Winter, Warren Miller's Extreme Winter, and several other films. It's been reshown so many times now. But that was over a 500-foot cliff.
Oof.
And the size of the cornice was the size of 2 Greyhound buses.
Now, what's a cornice, though?
Cornice is an overhang of snow
Okay.
where the wind has blown in.
Yeah. And it was larger than 2 Greyhound buses.
Yeah.
Okay.
The size of snow that let go was
Monster.
And so I was on the piece when it broke and skied back up onto the hill. And John was watching it break. And in the film, you can see that as he's coming to the edge, he thought about stopping. So he stems to like snowplow and realizes he'd never stop in time. So he pushed. And that push is what saved his life because that gave him enough momentum to airplane turn in the air and come back. And, you know, that shows his athleticism. He is a cat. And
it gives me
pretty
goosebumps just hearing you describe this. But he must have been saying, knowing that you were behind him.
I was in front.
Or you were in front.
Yeah.
So you must have been saying, it's over. It's over for him. He's done.
Well, the thing is, you know, sometimes things happen so fast in the mountains.
Yeah.
It's hard to know what is happening.
Yeah.
When I was skiing down, I saw a hole in the snow, and I saw daylight. So I jumped over the hole, and that put me on the piece of snow that was overhanging. And when I landed on it, that weight is what broke the cornice.
Yeah.
And then as I was turning back towards the hill, as that was my next turn, I was in deep snow. I thought I hit a big wind drift. So I just like double poled it to pull myself out of the wind drift. That was going back onto the hill. And John describes it as like a BB's be rolling down a chute, like it was just cracked. So, you know, afterwards, you know, of course, John started yelling at me. Now, that's nothing new, JD. So I just thought, oh, this is normal. John's back there yelling. And
What was he yelling? What's
dude, wait, you got to, stop. I'm like, what are you doing? And so by the time we did stop and turn around, he goes, look back. The tracks leave the mountain.
I know.
Disappear.
Yes.
And start up again. And, we had no ski patrol with us. The cameraman was across the valley.
What mountain was this again?
Grand Targhee, Wyoming. That was up on Mary's.
Would he have been toast?
Oh, yeah. No, there's no doubt. And if we had been on fat skis like today, like powder skis, probably we both would have been toast. Because
you couldn't get out of there fast enough?
No, we would have been going so much faster and straighter.
Oh.
With the narrow skis, we were in the snow and making turns. And I think that's what allowed him to be athletic and to move and to change his weight and change his position. Today's skis change everything. The line completely different than how you would ski it then.
Permanent impact on John?
Well, it's a good question for John. I don't know.
How was he later that day?
He went crazy.
How so?
He wouldn't stop skiing. He was fired up. I was kind of freaked out. So I was kind of like done for the day. But in extreme winter, later in the sequence, John jumps through the air and hits a pine tree. It was a snow-covered pine tree. And he told the camera guy, I'm going to explode that tree. And he just went up and exploded the tree and skied through the tree. It's an amazing shot. But that's the energy that was built up in him and was still vibrating after the Cornice break.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a madman.
So where can we get the book? Obviously, Amazon, but can we get it locally anywhere? Dan Eagan, by the way, if you're just joining us, 30 years in a white haze, his story of worldwide adventure and the evolution of extreme skiing. Your first book?
No, it's my third book.
Okay, because I thought I saw a second one on there, but I didn't know it was 3.
Yeah, All-Terrain Skiing, my instructional book, and that's coming out next. We've rewritten that now.
Okay.
And I wrote a book called Courage to Persevere about my dear friend Bill Fallon, who had 2 craniotomies. He had a total of 52 hours of brain surgeries and teaches himself how to walk, talk, and ski again through the martial arts. It's an amazing story.
Oh, my God.
And then, of course, now White Haze. You can get it at your local ski shop.
Okay.
You can get it at bookstores.
Yeah.
Of course, Amazon. And you can get it at whitehaze.com, white-haze.com. And I'll sign it for you and ship it off to you. And our next project with Eric and I are working on a project called Dying to Ski. It's about all our lost friends that have passed away. We're tracking 30 pros that lost their lives.
A book project.
A book project.
And you're of course going to let me know about that.
Absolutely, my friend.
So tell everybody about your podcast, Designed by Tradition.
Yeah, Designed by Tradition is a really fun podcast. You can find it on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Sponsored by Elpson Meters, the clothing company that is designed in tradition. It's sort of like retro, vintage ski gear. Really classy stuff, high fashion, wool pants, beautiful jackets, sweaters.
Wow.
And it's, I love it. I'm the chief tradition officer, JD, at Elpson Meters. And we just sit around and rap. It's like sort of coming into my living room and talking to the chefs that cook in St. Moritz, people in the alpine world.
Different breed.
Olympians and, the heads of ski companies, but people who have really dedicated their lives to the mountains and the alpine lifestyle. And, it's fascinating. I had Phil Mayer on, and it was great to talk with Phil. Really fascinating.
And then Ski Talk, too.
Yeah, Ski Talk is our Facebook Live program. You can find that at skitalk.com on Facebook or my Facebook at Ski Clinics. And Ski Talk's great. That's like being in the Base Lodge, telling ski stories. We have different people every week from around the industry, different topics, reps, manufacturers, and we just talk skiing. And it's a lot of fun.
When you're done skiing, when you're done doing an extreme shoot, Do you need to just disconnect from everybody, from the cameras, from the people, and just be alone, or do you want to interact and talk about it and sit down and get warm and maybe have a shot of whiskey?
Well, for me, it's like if I get a day to myself or with friends and families to free ski,
Yeah.
I want to savor those moments and really enjoy that with them at the end of the day. If I'm with clients and we've had a high energy day and we're in Val d'Isère, France, and we've just been skiing, 7,000 vertical foot runs of corn snow, just velvet, we're amped up and we're reliving that. So what I love about the mountains is every day is different, like the weather. There's always a good day, and that's the New England in us, right? We'll ski in anything.
Sure.
Not picky. When people ask me where's my favorite place to ski, I look around and go, wherever I am. Like, I just love to ski. It doesn't matter where I am. So, I love that. And at the end of the day, God willing, I just know I get to do it again.
Unreal. Tell me about Gary Nate.
Love that guy.
Is he kind of, is he a little?
Check him out.
Is there something wrong with him?
I love Gary. Well, he shot the cornice. That's his camera
he's
shot.
He's the cameraman.
He's the cameraman. And, here's Gary Nate. As a young man, he hears about this guy, Warren Miller. And so he goes to a Warren Miller movie in Salt Lake City in the 60s. And he waits outside the theater. He didn't go in. And Warren, at the end of the show, is coming out of the theater. And Gary walked up to Warren. He said, Warren, my name's Gary Nate. You can hire me or compete against me. What's your choice?
Ouch.
And Warren hired him. And they formed a great partnership. And, Warren always respected that boldness. That's what he looked for in people, was people that were bold. And Gary's a bold guy. He's a phenomenal skier and a great cameraman. And, he's the first guy to shoot, and really promote Scott Schmidt. Gary had an eye for change. He saw what was happening in the industry, the trends, and where it was all going. And so Gary's just an amazing guy. Of course, he's in the book. You can see Gary on Facebook, and I still ski with Gary.
So Gary's not only this isn't some guy who's skiing down a mountain holding a camera in his hand. He's rigging your body and your skis up with cameras.
He was
including himself.
Well, and when you think about GoPros, and how easy it is today.
Sure. And drones too. Is he running? He's doing all of it.
Years ago, with film cameras, 16 mil, he had a chest mount for a film camera
that he probably made.
Yeah, that he made.
Yeah.
And Gary was on the cutting edge of a lot of things. When you watch the great mogul skiers and the mogul scenes in the Warren Miller films from Telluride and Scott Kennett and all these great skiers, Gary's shooting that, but he had plowed through the moguls a straight path. So he could ski straight, smoothly through the moguls, shooting the guys ripping. Pretty amazing.
Where is he now?
He's hanging out in Snow Basin, Utah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So does he head to Europe with you? Is he going with you?
Gary's always ready to rumble, and he's around because he's got his Warren Miller stapled on his helmet, on his truck. He's everywhere.
So he's a little crazy.
Love him.
Wow.
Takes one to know one.
That is so amazing. Eagan Media, you started up your own media company. What's that all about?
Well, for me, I think the art of storytelling in the spirit of Warren Miller is what we're about. We specialize in action sports, sailing and skiing, and really what I call narrow casting to niche audiences. We go narrow and deep. My newest project is on soccer, racism in soccer. We're telling the Clyde Best story. Clyde is the Jackie Robinson of the English Soccer Premier League. And next week I'm going over to meet with West Ham, who he broke the color barrier with in the 70s and 60s with West Ham, and we're going to tell Clyde's story.
That is so badass. Where do we find that? Where can we see?
Well, that will be a release on Netflix or whoever will pick it up.
So where do we go to get on
go to
Eagan Media?
Yeah, well, you can go to, for that project, go to ClydeBest.com or go to my website, dan-egan.com.
Easy enough.
Simple.
So I'm just curious. Wife, girlfriend?
Oh, JD.
Come on.
Come on. We can't break that wide open here.
we're
with your audience right here?
Show's called Aired Out By. I have to ask.
Oh, well, let's just say I'm not bored.
All right.
How's that?
All right.
Yeah.
Good enough. But I was just, and I honestly didn't know the answer to that, but I was thinking to myself this morning, driving it, if Dan Egan is married to anybody, they have to be as much of an addict as he is to snow. And I would imagine that it would have to be somebody that would be right next to you, could really understand, because there's not a whole hell of a lot of you in the world. And there's also not a whole hell of a lot of partners that would put up with this foolishness.
Well, and actually over the years, and what I've found is the opposite of that, to kind of equal an opposite force off the snow is what's been anchoring me lately. So, we can't always overindulge, JD.
Ever interesting. Listen to that.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's next for you? I mean, we know that you always set sail for Europe. In what, Monday, I think.
Yeah, Monday, exactly.
So how long will you be gone for?
Well, I'll be over there for 10 days. I'm touring with the book. Going to be speaking at the National Snow Show in Birmingham, England.
Wow.
Touring the Ellis and Brigham ski shops all around the country. Going to meet with West Ham to talk about the Clyde Best project and other great soccer greats of the day. And then I'll be back, and I'll be touring with the book in Colorado and all throughout New England with the Warren Miller films, bringing the book to the lobbies of the movies and telling more stories, sitting around base lodges.
Where can we see you in Vermont?
In Vermont.
I saw Warren Miller film. The last one I saw was at the Flynn, and then another one, I think, at the Higher Ground.
Yeah.
It was a while ago.
You can see the whole schedule at dan-egan.com or white-haze.com. And it's all there. Of course, always go to 30 Years in White Haze Facebook.
Yep.
That's where we're posting all the stops. If I could remember the stops, I
Yep.
might even show up on time.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Or early, which is crazy. Scheduling's the one thing that makes me anxious.
Right.
I get more anxious around schedules
Right.
than I do skiing steep or jumping cliffs.
Yes.
So I never look at it.
Right.
I just wake up and then do what I'm told that day.
Yeah.
Keep it in the moment.
Who's telling you what to do every day? Is it you, or do you have somebody running a calendar?
Well, Sammy is amazing. She keeps me running. She does all my PR for the book and my company. And
Wow.
she's hanging out in Vancouver, British Columbia, orchestrating the whole thing.
Oh my gosh!
Amazing.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, she's great.
I would love to come over and at some point and see Eagan Media. I'm so intrigued by everything that you're doing, fascinated by it. It's just, I'm telling you, folks, definitely check out Designed by Tradition, the podcast, Spotify or anywhere else, as you said, where you get your podcasts. It's so exciting. You just don't sit around. You don't sit around with your feet up, bud.
Well, it's just we have so many things to accomplish, Jay.
Yes.
So little time, really.
It's incredible.
And why not give it a shot? Just wake up swinging. That's all.
Yeah, man.
Just wake up swinging, dude.
You have to.
You know what I mean?
When are you going to see John next?
Hope to see him really soon.
All
The
right.
snow's going to start flying, and hopefully he'll be at my nephew's wedding here at the end of the month. So hoping to catch up with the entire clan for Chris Egan's wedding.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Do you get a little weird when you see that first snowflake blowing through New England?
Well, I got to have it. It's just I just got to have it. You know what I'm saying? And so you go out to the barn, right?
Yeah.
And you just look at the skis,
Yes.
and you're like,
Touch them.
You want to hang with them. You touch them. You
Smell them.
Get them ready.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And then you're just like,
Wow.
yeah, just get ready. And then, the fun thing is like, look, go to skiclinics.com. Look at my schedule, where all my camps and clinics. And
Yes.
and think about booking yourselves a trip. You know why? Because if you don't do it this year, JD,
Yeah.
you'll be 1 year older when you do.
That's absolutely true.
And they're so much fun. And what we do is we bring like-minded people together all the time.
I love it. I love every second of it. This has been so enjoyable for me. I only can wish that we can get you back in here.
Love to do that. Now you're right on Main Street, bro.
This is amazing.
Oh, my God. People must stumble in here all the time.
All the time. We love it. Dan Egan, thank you so much for coming in here and being a part of our podcast here, Aired Out. 30 Years in a White Haze is his book. Find it everywhere. And if someone doesn't have it, tell them they're missing the boat, that they need to get this book. They need to get it fast. His story of worldwide adventure and the evolution of extreme skiing. What an honor. What an honor it is to have you in here, buddy.
Great to see you, man. Thanks so much.
Be well. Dan Egan, this time around on Aired Out, brought to you by Salvador and Babic, Infecto Homes, Green Mountain Mulch, Central Vermont Chamber of Commerce, Barrie Area Development, FGB Theaters, ASB Financial, Vermont Custom Woodworking, the Barrie Montpelier Times Argus, Donnybrook Fight Promotion, Wright Electric, Gauthier's Quality Grounds and Maintenance, Preston's Kia, Granite City MMA, and Barslow Construction. Be well. Take good care. God bless.